to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life. My name is Kyle Case, and I'll be your host on this amazing journey as we attempt to help you get the most out of your life. Joining me in the studio today is my co-pilot, Jeff Harding. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm well, Kyle. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Things are moving fast.
They are. The Huntsman World Senior Games are almost here.
It's like unbelievable that we're on top of it.
We're probably feeling it more than some other people, but
I would suspect.
It's getting kind of crunch time for us.
Yeah, it is.
And as you know, registration closed on September 1st. But there's still ways to get involved and to be engaged in the games.
Well, that's right.
And one of the main ways, one of the biggest ways that I wanted to touch on for just a second is to volunteer at the event.
Which is huge.
Yeah, we definitely need an army. It takes an army of volunteers to put on the event and to cover all the services that need to be covered.
And beyond that, they are the face of the games for the athletes.
Absolutely. They're the ones that the athletes interface with, the ones that they see.
All day long, yeah.
The connection with the community and with the games themselves. So we need your help.
We do, and we would invite you to go to our website, seniorgames.net, and click on the volunteer tab. You can register as a volunteer, and it'll take you to shifts. You can go to the dates that you're available and see what's available on those dates.
Yeah, so we try to make it as easy as we can, and there's a wide variety of things that you can do. A lot of times people think, well, I'll volunteer for the games. I have to be very sports-oriented, but that's not the case at all.
No.
There are opportunities to be involved with the sports, no question about it.
Right.
But there's a lot of other things as well.
And there may be even a few surprise perks for, who knows, for volunteering.
We hope that there might be a few surprise perks, not the least of which would be interacting with some pretty amazing people from all around the world.
Really, very much so.
So once again, go to seniorgames.net. You click on volunteer, and from there you create an account. And as Jeff just mentioned, you can log right into that account and pick right away the things that are of interest to you.
That's right.
And again, there are sporting things, but there are lots of other things. Everything from helping to stuff the athlete bags.
Working in the gift shop.
There's refreshments. And then, again, there's scorekeeping, and there's all kinds of sports opportunities, but lots and lots of ways to get involved. And now is a great time. It's the best time to sign up to be a volunteer. Yep. So excellent. Once again, seniorgames.net, and there's lots and lots to do.
That's right.
So, Jeff, I wanted to talk about something that I found very interesting this morning, and that is that, well, first of all, getting old. It's not for the faint of heart. Now, why are you looking
at me when you say getting old?
I'm not looking at you.
I am.
I'm just conversing.
Okay.
I'm just trying to create, a healthy eye contact.
Okay. Oh, it's just eye contact. Okay.
That's all. That's all. Not pointed in any way.
All right.
But it's hard.
It is.
Getting old is not the easiest thing.
It is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, you've got to, you got to train, and you've got to spend your whole life getting ready for it. And then when you're least expect it, it happens to you.
It is the ultimate extreme sport.
Absolutely. Most of the time we think about downsides of getting old, and there are some bummers. You can't do quite as much, and your eyesight isn't quite as good.
Gray hair
and no hair and
wrinkles.
There's all kinds of things, but there are some benefits.
Okay, let's hear them.
There are some benefits, and today I wanted to share 5 ways that your body gets better with age.
I'm amazed they could find 5. I can hardly wait.
Okay, well, I think they did. 5 ways. Number 1, your skin gets better in some ways.
In some ways.
Yeah, there's the qualifier.
The brown spots.
There's the qualifier in some ways. So as we age, your skin typically becomes less oily, which is a good thing. So the sebaceous glands simply produce less oil as we get older. And that can be very welcome news for those who have suffered from acne, all of their life. And that certainly happens to people. And so as oiliness declines, so does the acne. And that's a good thing.
I must not be old yet because I still get zits.
Well, it doesn't completely and totally eliminate, but
I do know that if older people sometimes don't feel the need to bathe every day because they're not sweating. They're not sweating.
Or sweaty, right?
Right.
And even this is a little bit of a stretch for me, but from a dermatologist point of view, they actually say that wrinkles can be a boon. Now, again, it's a little bit of a stretch, but they say that if you had to have surgery, for example, maybe a skin cancer or something removed, it's easier to hide a scar under a wrinkle.
Okay, I'll give that for the very stretched benefit.
Well, like I said, a little bit of a stretch, but
Yeah.
so how to thrive with that concept. Aging, of course, does affect your skin. There's wrinkles, there's sagging, and all that kind of stuff. But to keep your skin healthy as possible, you should protect it with some sunscreen throughout your life. So, try to stay out of the sun, and when you need to be in the sun, put that sunscreen on. And also be sure to hydrate.
Lots of water.
Yeah, it makes a big difference with your skin. Number 2, you're still building lifelong brain skills even as you age.
I did not know that.
Now, of course, we always think about the memory loss and those kinds
Dementia.
of things, and those are real. Those are real things. But they found that as people age, they become better at a few things that do require your brain, and not the least of which is they're better at reading people's emotional states.
I will
So
go along with that.
You can connect with people on a different level as you get older, and you're not so maybe connected to what your own needs are, but connected to what other people's are, and that makes you a better companion.
In fact, my grandma's brain was so good, I think she could crochet in her sleep.
Oh, really? So she just had built those little synapses were connecting, and she was ready to go.
I think so.
Anyway, of course, we want to stay connected with people and also keep our minds active, doing puzzles, reading every day, learning new skills, new languages. Just new activities can make a big difference in continuing to keep our brains healthy. But again, even as we age, we are better at reading people, and that's a valuable skill.
It is.
Number 3, this is a good one for a lot of people. You can kiss those migraines goodbye with age.
Oh, I thought you could kiss younger women. Because when you get old, that's
because of the pause there. Right?
Yeah, because you're old, then they're all younger.
Well, no. That's not what I was saying.
No.
I'm talking about migraines.
Migraines, headaches.
Totally different subject. So not everyone gets this bonus when they age, but a lot of people do experience fewer migraines. About 40% of people with migraines will notice that they don't have them as much, or that they are completely gone after age 65.
That's a real blessing.
Which is a blessing.
It's supposed to be really
for those who suffer from migraines, it's a real blessing.
Yeah.
So number 4, you'll yawn less during the day as you age.
That's because you're sleeping more. You don't yawn when you're asleep.
That's true. That is true. But they have actually found that if you're healthy in between the ages of 66 and 83, you can expect to be less sleepy during the day. Now, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Anecdotally, I don't know that that's been my observation, but that was the result of a study. Some British doctors did some research, and they surveyed a number of people at all ages. And they found that, generally speaking, between 66 and 83, you're less sleepy during the day.
Okay.
And then finally, number 5.
Ready.
This is the last one. Your self-confidence is booming. And that just comes with age and your experience, and you know what's going on with yourself and with the world around you. And you
just don't give a heck.
And you just don't care as much.
Yes.
With all these things together, you do have more self-confidence as you grow older.
Okay, that was a stretch, Kyle.
A little, but I learned
some
something. Of them were a little bit of a stretch. Some of them I think were okay.
Well, yeah, I think so too.
Getting older, it's not all bad.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, our special guest today, Jeff, is Kelli Charlton. Kelli, how are you today?
Fabulous.
Wonderful. Kelli has a very, very diverse background. She's worked in a variety of different fields, from nursing and healthcare. She owned a business. She's done a lot of things, but she is currently the Director of Patient Education at the Center for Active Aging, which is an affiliate of the Nielsen Hearing Clinics. And Nielsen, incidentally, is one of our brand new sponsors this year, so we're excited to be working with them.
Welcome aboard.
And we're excited, Kelli, to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
So tell us just a little bit, just to get us started off, what does the Director of Patient Education do?
Well, I have a very interesting job.
I'll bet you do.
I do. So by trade, by education, I am a secondary ed teacher.
Okay.
By content, I should be teaching English or language arts in our junior high or high school, middle school or high school arena, if you will. But right out of college, and I was a late bloomer, right out of college, I got picked up as a school principal and the lead teacher for a private technical school here in town.
Okay.
That experience sort of paved the way for me to go to work for Nielsen Hearing Clinics. And my job as Director of Education is literally to sit down with our seniors in the area and help them regain their brain function. You talked about synapses and all of the healthy brain function. We sit down and work on a computer every day doing something that is called brain plasticity or neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Helping the brain to heal or repair itself.
Wow. Now, is this mostly for people who have had brain traumas or injuries, or just the effects of time? And
it can be anywhere from the people that just have general brain slowdown, which we definitely do have that. From age 50 on, we lose approximately 1.5% of our brain speed every year.
That explains a lot in my case.
It does. And here's the other part that goes along with that. And that is, when we're young, we're learning multiple things all at the same time. We're in language arts, we're in mathematics, we're in science, we're in social studies, we're in PE. We're learning multiple things. Then we get into college, and we sort of narrow our field, and the things that we're learning, we narrow that down, especially partying. And then we get our careers.
And then you're really
we narrow it down even more.
Yeah.
And so by the time we hit middle age, we've really narrowed the activity going on inside the brain.
Okay.
So I'm able to literally work with our patients, and we do it for free because we are adamant about promoting healthy aging.
That concept of active aging.
Right.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like that Disney movie? You try to get to those little characters inside the brain to get them to
This
be
is not
active,
about
to
emotion.
get along with each other.
No, this is not about emotion. This is about waking my brain up and actually stimulating the brain. I focus primarily on auditory and visual training, but there is a lot of training going on out there.
Now, do you do this on a one-on-one basis or in a group, or all of the above once again?
All of the above.
Okay.
It kind of depends on the patient. If I have a patient who really needs to come in for private tutoring, I'll set up a private tutoring session for them. If I need to do it on, 2-to-1, we can do that as well. But several times a week, I do a huge orientation where I'll have multiple patients come in groups, anywhere from 6 to 12, and we'll work together.
Well, that sounds wonderful. If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Huntsman World Senior Games Active Life, and we're visiting with Kelli Charlton, who is the Director of Patient Education at the Center for Active Aging, and she's got a very fascinating job, and really it revolves around helping people age actively and make sure that they have the kind of brain health that we all want as we age. So that's wonderful. So, one of the things that happens and that we hear a lot about as we get older is the onset of dementia. Mm-hmm. So let's talk just a little bit about that and what that means to the aging population, and maybe what you do or what you can do to help in that arena.
Okay. Would you like to hear the 10 most common symptoms of dementia?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I don't have those memorized.
Do I have to remember them?
No.
Okay, that's
Which
good.
could be a problem, right?
Yes.
All right. So let me give those to you in order. The first sign is the loss of memory. And I'm not talking about where I put my keys or why did I go in a room or how come I can't remember that word, right?
Right. We all have those things.
That's natural,
Yeah.
right? That's natural. If you think about it long enough, it'll come to you.
It comes back.
Usually when you forget why you walked into a room, you have to go into another room and then come back.
That's right.
But eventually it comes back. All right. The next thing is declining motor functions. Big issue. Next is disorientation. I get in the car, can't remember where I'm going or if I'm there, how to get home. Behavioral changes. I was once a very nice person, and suddenly
you're not so nice anymore.
Snap on a dime,
Yeah.
turn on a dime, and I'm a completely different individual. Paranoia and suspicion.
Yeah.
You're just out to get me, aren't you?
Am I clicking those off one at a time?
Yeah, you're just
Nice.
out to get me.
Nice. Disorganization, especially for people who have been in fields where logic is critical.
Yeah.
Right? They start to suddenly not be able to balance a checkbook. Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Big issues
That's
for people.
a big warning.
A woman in the kitchen who's very comfortable in the kitchen who suddenly can't cook anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big issue. Agitation. Little things agitate them, and I'm not talking about freeway traffic. I'm talking about the family member walked in front of the television, and they just
There's
go
an
from 0 to
explosion.
60, and they explode.
You hear a lot
Right.
about that, especially from the caretakers,
Right.
and what a challenge that is.
Right. Down the road, hallucinations is a huge issue, and very, very obvious when a person gets to that point, the dementia is pretty serious.
Yeah.
Sexual activity, they take off their clothes, they wander naked, they do things they wouldn't normally do, not in their normal character.
Yeah.
That's a sign of dementia. And then, of course, cognitive decline.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
Top 10 signs.
Top 10 signs.
Are those also, I mean, is that tied to Alzheimer's or just dementia?
Well, the truth is, when you look at Alzheimer's, it is an individual piece under the dementia umbrella.
Well, I understand
right?
that.
Okay.
So yes, it is definitely tied. But with Alzheimer's, you also have the regression, right? They're 80 and they're suddenly becoming 50 and 15 and 2.
And then the atrophy of the brain.
Of course.
Right.
Wow.
See, I always thought that a lot of those things you described were more likely to happen with the Alzheimer's than with just normal dementia.
Sure. And there's a lot of misconception and there's also a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And we're learning so much, and we still have so much to learn.
Absolutely.
The brain is such a complex organ, and it's just such a complicated situation.
Right.
There's just a lot for us to learn.
Right. And ever changing. I mean, it used to be the normal sort of belief system that brains only changed between birth and 3 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly we've learned over the last 35 or 40 years that is
We know
so not
that's
the case.
not the case.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm just curious, are there any situations, real or perceived, that can be identified as something that might increase the likelihood of dementia?
Absolutely. So one of those events is the perception, and I definitely use the word perception, the perception of loneliness. The feeling that I could be completely surrounded by people, yet at the same time in my head, especially us baby boomers, and I call myself an us because I'm in that category,
Yeah.
especially the baby boomers, because we were raised to be independent. We do not ask for help. And so, to the detriment of our own physical and or emotional well-being, loneliness is a critical component and can directly lead to dementia.
So people who are, as I said earlier, maybe they're caretakers of someone who is starting to exhibit some of these symptoms or has been diagnosed, and they know that this is the direction that we're going to be going. You mentioned the perception of loneliness. How would a caretaker help overcome that perception? If somebody is truly surrounded by people who love them, family members, friends, church groups, whatever it happens to be, they are surrounded, but they perceive that they're not. How do you work through that with somebody?
Well, I think the key component is to make sure that that person is getting out of the house.
Okay.
We talked earlier, and I gave you a statistic that is frighteningly shocking, and that is that in the 2010 census, 26% of those 62 and older lived alone, either due to divorce or the death of a family. They're widowed in some case. Who knows how long that has been, but they find themselves at that age alone in a household.
So 26% of those over what age?
62.
Are alone.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
they live alone. So do you find that people in that age category, if they live alone, they tend to become more of a hermit? In other words, they tend to stay inside rather than go out?
Right. So I've seen a couple of things in my current line of work. What I've seen is one or the extreme on the other. So I have a woman who's now 84. She's been alone for 30 years.
Yeah.
Never remarried. Her son lives in a completely different part of the country. Completely alone. Still working.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't have the resources to stop working.
Yeah.
And she was literally in every possible way completely alone. Even though she worked, even though she went to church, in her heart and her head, she was completely alone.
That is amazing.
And the interesting twist to that story is that we got her involved in our brain training program. She started coming to see me for that private one-on-one tutoring once a week. And after 6 weeks, her numbers had gone up dramatically. 53%, I think, if I remember correctly. 53% in brain speed, in cognitive critical thinking skills. her auditory processing. And I said to her one day, "You're doing amazing. I'm so proud of you." And she said, "It's not the games. It's that you're paying attention to me once a week."
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's amazing. You see it in little children, and you recognize the need in little children to be recognized and validated. Mm-hmm. But sometimes we don't think that adults need to be recognized and validated. But I think that the statistics would say that that's not the case.
Right. And there's another small side to that, and that is, and go here with me. We call this appropriate touch. The idea that we live in this crazy world that doesn't allow for us to give hugs in a natural way, mm-hmm. or to hold someone's hand or touch them in an appropriate way.
Right.
Because because of the world we live in, we always go to the wrong place.
The politically correct side.
Right. Yeah. But the truth is, we are creatures we're social creatures. We need to be and need to experience the TLC and love. Mm-hmm. The way we were made to be, we're hardwired for this.
Yeah.
So we need that validation, and we also need the touch.
But I like what you say. It's not a sexual thing. Mm-mm. It's a physiological thing.
Absolutely.
But we want to, as a society, turn it into something that it's not.
I think because of the media.
Well, definitely.
But the truth is, if you can, I can't even tell you the more times I just put my arm around someone and they just
it
makes
wake
a
up. Difference,
yeah.
huh? Wow. So if we were to find a real takeaway from this, and you are a caretaker of someone who is aging, or again maybe someone who has already been diagnosed, mm-hmm. you mentioned get them out of the house, mm-hmm. get them interacting with people, and don't forget the importance of touch.
Absolutely, and for the caretaker as well.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't mean that they have to go out and spend money on a massage. That's not what I'm talking about. It means they have to have a support system as well. Wonderful advice. So if you could, maybe you could share one more success story that you've had really briefly. You talked about this 84-year-old woman who has obviously had great success. Well, just maybe one more quick success story. Wow, there are so many. The interesting thing for me is that it's all ages, male and female. One thing that I can tell you is that the lower the education, right, the less education they have, and the lower socioeconomic level that they are in, the more likelihood of that perception of loneliness in this big wide world.
That's interesting.
And so once again, just get them out, interact with them. And I think that's maybe a message for all of us, to put down the barriers, break the walls down, smile at people, even people you don't know. You can greet, you can wave, you can shake hands. And those little things can and will make a big difference in someone's life. Just
Absolutely.
As you said, paying attention
I would
to
add,
someone.
Put down the electronic devices too.
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, from them and from you. I mean, if they're spending all their time playing, my mom and dad spend all their time on their iPad or their phone or their computer. And I don't know that they have a lot of interaction with each other.
Right.
Huh?
They're texting each other across the room.
I'm not seeing
That's because they can't hear each other.
I'm not seeing a lot of the signs you're talking about, but it still concerns me.
Absolutely.
Well, and that is, I think, very important. And we oftentimes talk about that as a generational thing, but it's not a generational thing. It's a general thing.
It is.
We are all probably using too much of our devices.
I agree.
Even though they're great tools, and I'm not a downer on technology. I think it's great, but that human interaction is so important.
Right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Kelli, for joining us today.
This
You're
has
so
been
welcome.
a wonderfully interesting show.
Absolutely. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, and you've definitely taught us something, given us something to think about.
Wonderful. Well, we are an advocate for the Live Well Center as well, and I know that you have them on the show on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. They have a weekly series on senior-related topics, and I'll be speaking tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It's a free lecture. Tomorrow is 9/11. Can you believe that? And my topic tomorrow is, the title of the topic is Running Parallel, Never Intersecting, and it is exactly about this, the feeling of social isolation versus dementia and the link. And there is definitely a link.
Wonderful. So tomorrow, which is Friday, at
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
at the Select Health Auditorium, which is across the street from the hospital and the Live Well Center.
Okay, excellent. Well, once again, Kelli, thank you. So we're out of time just about, but I want to touch on just a couple of important things coming up with the Huntsman World Senior Games. We're a 2-week event, and so we have a couple of ceremonial type events that we do have.
Right.
I wanted to talk a little bit about our opening ceremonies.
Okay.
If you haven't been to the opening ceremonies, it's my humble and perhaps admittedly biased opinion that you're really missing out.
It's quite the extravaganza.
It's a great show. There's singing, there's dancing, there's fireworks, there's inspiring speakers. And speaking of inspiring speakers, our special guest this year is Rafer Johnson. Now, some people might not recognize that name, but let me just tick off a few things that he's done. And this is just a short list. He's done a lot.
He has.
He's lived a very, very full life. Rafer was a decathlete. So a decathlon in track and field is 10 events.
Right.
And so he was a fantastic athlete.
It was
he
like
won
the 1960 Olympics.
Yeah, he won the silver medal in the 1956 Olympics. He won the gold medal in the 1960 Olympics, and it was by breaking a record of the number of points that had been scored. So,
wow.
Fantastic athlete. After his athleticism, he went on to be an actor. He was in movies with Elvis Presley, with Bob Hope. He commented at the Olympics. Just a lot of things. And if you come to the opening ceremonies, which is on Tuesday, October 6th at 7 p.m. at the Hanson Stadium, you can listen to him, and it is a free show.
It's free.
So for those of you in the area, join us next Thursday on this radio station. And until next Thursday, stay active.
Bye, everyone.